Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Carolyn Aldeget, known to most of you as Bo. I'm the founder of the Prevent Cancer Foundation, and I'm happy to share the news that next year we'll be celebrating our 40th anniversary. But here we are on the occasion of the 21st anniversary of the Quantitative Imaging Workshop, which we started in, what year was it? 2004. And in 2013, it seemed logical to establish an award in honor of the leader of this workshop, who has worked tirelessly year-round to make sure that this workshop every year is the success that it has been. So I am very pleased to say that the James L. Mulshine, MD, Leadership Award will be presented this year to Nancy Obuchowski. And I think Jim is here to make a few remarks, but I'm not sure where he is. Oh, so thank you all very much, and congratulations, Nancy.
Thank you very much, Bo. It's an honor for me to be here. And this is a very important thing. We've been doing this workshop for 21 years, as Bo just said. And lung cancer screening has been a challenge the entire time because lung cancer is wrapped up in a lot of this tobacco and stigma and this, that, and the other thing. And people felt it was a neglected disease. I had no idea that they were deciding to do this leadership award thing, and I'm very flattered that they chose to do it. But it's just such a great opportunity in this setting to try to recognize the pioneers that have led the way in doing very substantive things in advancing the interest of improving outcomes with lung cancer and tobacco-related diseases. And fortunately, we've had a chance to recognize some extraordinary pioneers, innovators, disruptors, and it's been a very gratifying process. And in that spirit, it's a pleasure today to be reflecting on the contributions of Nancy Obuchowski, Dr. Obuchowski, who's a statistician, and we'll have a formal introduction done by our very accomplished colleague, Kyle Myers. But in reflection of what is lung cancer screening, it's a transformative tool in biomedicine in which we're using computer images to measure change, to detect clinically significant lung cancer, and then to use other quantitative assessments to flesh out further information that enhances our ability to precisely manage this group of people at a very earliest stages of the disease. It's been unprecedented to do this. And now we're doing it across pulmonary medicine and emphysema, heart disease, lung cancer. And in other spaces, they're doing it in Alzheimer's and a variety of other diseases. Well, Nancy has been in the trenches, pulling that all together into a cohesive measurement science discipline and creating a language that allows us to all understand how well or poorly we're performing, and to talk to each other and to be able to share each other's insights in a cohesive way. It's an unbelievable contribution that's fundamental to not only progress in lung cancer screening, but to the application of AI in biomedicine. And we'll hear about this from our wonderful colleague, Kyle Myers, now. Thank you, Kyle.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kyle Myers, and it's my really big pleasure and honor to be here in honor of Nancy Obuchowski and to help celebrate the many ways in which she has made such a difference in quantitative imaging in medicine. So a little bit of background about Nancy. So Nancy earned her PhD in biometry from the University of Pittsburgh in 1991, where her dissertation addressed the analysis of detection and discrimination tasks in medical imaging when accounting for reader variability, which was a really important and prescient topic at the time, taking into account both reader skill and reader differences in mindset. So truly, from her earliest work, she has focused on medical measurement science applied to medical imaging and the quantification of meaningful error bars. This is the essence of metrology applied to medical imaging. I just need that word metrology up there because the essence of metrology is what Jim was pointing to, and what I want to really emphasize has been the theme of Nancy's work since the time that she received her PhD. Metrology originally applied to detection and discrimination tasks in imaging, and the many publications that she followed her dissertation with, all of which are highly cited, that build on tools and resources and methodologies to design and analyze reader studies. Now get this, Nancy is cited more than 1,000 times per year on average, and when I think about what that means in terms of the uptake of her work, the impact on the many investigators that are doing studies and developing science that stems from the contributions that she's made, it's really mind-boggling. She has published the go-to books in the field, shown here. In the 2000s, as medical imaging data was becoming digital and making the possibility for image analysis algorithms to be developed across the ecosystem in medical imaging, I was at the FDA, and there were internal differences at the time around the approach that should be taken to evaluate computer-aided diagnosis algorithms. So my group organized a workshop so that our internal statisticians and reviewers could hear from external experts and build a consensus. And the top name on our list of speakers, experts to bring in and help to resolve what was happening in the field and especially internally was Nancy Obuchowski. Following that workshop, we worked to develop a consensus paper, kind of informal guidance, getting around the guidance process that takes a little longer at FDA, speaking to the community regarding best practices for metrology, evaluating these kinds of devices. And the guidance documents that followed from that were very much reflective of the impact and the input of Nancy's expertise. About the same time, QIW was launched by RSNA. They too needed a statistician with an understanding of imaging and a metrology mindset, and they turned to Nancy. So thus started the many conference calls, working groups, workshops, almost all of ones in which Nancy played a technical leadership role. I don't have a picture of the first one, but this is the second workshop in 2007 in Phoenix, and you can see Nancy in the front row there. The special metrology series published by QIW in 2015 in Statistical Methods in Medical Research was a milestone from QIW, laying out standard terminology as well as methods for evaluating and comparing imaging biomarkers. I had the pleasure to work with Nancy on the paper on comparison of quantitative imaging biomarkers. So I saw firsthand her leadership and what a tremendous enabler she was in getting these papers done. Not long ago, February of last year, Nancy spearheaded a new set of QIW papers on multiparametric quantitative imaging biomarkers. And I've listed them here. As you can see, she led teams that wrote papers on topics as diverse as multi-class classifiers, risk predictors, and radiomics. Clearly another landmark quantitative imaging set of deliverables with Nancy's fingerprints all over it. So I don't have time to read all these quotes to you, Nancy, but let me say that in preparation for this event, I reached out to many people who know you and have collaborated with you, and I have a little packet of emails for you. So many people are aware of this award and are sending their appreciation for your technical contributions and your leadership. So I'll give you the slides too, so you can see that after the fact. But one of them I absolutely had to repeat, and that is, if some of you are old enough to remember Madge, the Haynes senior adjudicator who would say, they don't say Haynes unless I say they say Haynes. Well, Dan Sullivan said this, it doesn't say QIW unless Nancy says it says QIW. And then Dan followed it up quickly with another email because he wanted to make sure I got it right and said to all of you that it's not that Nancy was some autocratic dictator, but rather that everyone respects her and her judgment so much that her stamp of approval was so important to feeling confident that what they were putting out as a KIPA protocol was unassailable. So I just want to say thank you, Nancy, on behalf of the community here, the community that's working to develop quantitative approaches for lung cancer screening. I want to thank you for this long arc of work that you've done, first in reader study design and analysis for imaging system evaluation, especially determining the value of computer-aided diagnosis. Thank you for your contributions to quantitative imaging. Thank you in advance for all that is to come as you support the community in statistical methodologies to ensure best practices in AI-enabled quantitative imaging. Oh, sure. So we want to give this to you on behalf of the Prevent Cancer Foundation, the Jim Mulshine Leadership Award.
Thank you all so much. So appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. I'm so honored to be here today with these leaders in cancer prevention who I so tremendously respect, and thank you, Kyle, so much for your words. Growing up, it was beyond imagination to think about being here and being part of this great community. As a kid, my focus was on preventing my dad from getting lung cancer. He enjoyed smoking, particularly in our family car, and I took it upon myself to stop him by developing a very spontaneous, irritating cough every time he lit up. It took years and lots of elbows from my brothers and slaps across the knee from my mom, but I was persistent and super annoying, and I eventually won that war. But that was an N of 1. As part of this team, we have the opportunity to reach entire populations of at-risk people. My role as a biostatistician has been to understand the noise in the measurements, interpret that noise, and help explain how it affects clinical decision-making. As leading researchers in the field, you have all embraced this notion that we must take our error bars into account from our measurements. My part in the big picture is very small, but this community of researchers has been thoughtful and meticulous and determined to bring the best science to lung cancer screening and monitoring and risk prediction. So I am so honored and appreciative to be part of this team. Thank you.